for joining us today, Jamie. We will pass it on to you whenever you're ready.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me today. It's a beautiful day. I hope you're all enjoying it and staying well. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. So at this time of year, financial aid usually gets questions from families and students about things like when and how do I do my loans? What more money can I find? Are there other scholarships out there? And what's the timeline? When should I be doing all this to stay on track? So that's pretty much what I'm going to hit. If you have any other specific questions, please submit it in chat. I can't see it, but I'm sure Kyle and Kylie will shout out your questions to me and we can go over that. So if you have a pen and paper handy, that will probably be a good idea. Or another computer where you can check our website out as we go along, because mostly everything you're going to do for our office is always online. So the main place that you can see all of our information is if you go to ashland.edu/finaid, like financial aid, abbreviated, FINAID. And then when you're there, you'll select future undergraduates because that's what you are. And right there is a whole wealth of information about how the process works, what you should do to apply and receive your financial aid on time. Excuse me. And there are a lot of different resources on the left hand of that web page to help you through. The first thing you should be thinking about is always the free money. It's not too late to apply for as many outside scholarships as you can. So you've all probably received your financial aid award letters from us by now that says any Ashland money, federal or state money you might qualify for, including loans and work study. But you still want to apply for as much outside money as you can. Some good resources to think about are local community foundations in your area that might offer philanthropic types of things to students and families going to college. Your parents' employers, perhaps they have a benefit you could use. Your church, Kiwanis, Key Club, things like that. There's lots of money out there. The trick is to take the time and apply for it. Oftentimes there are universal applications, much like with your college application. Usually you can find a larger foundation or website that has a master financial aid scholarship application, and they will do the hard work for you of matching you up with different resources. If you're on that financial aid website that I mentioned, ashland.edu/finaid, on the left-hand side there's a grants and scholarships link. And the third bullet down talks about outside scholarship information and gives you a few national websites, FinAid, FastWeb, and the College Board. Those are good, reputable sources to search for. You still have some time. Many outside scholarships globally expire for application mid-April. So I would definitely make a point to get on it. Hopefully a lot of you still have a break coming up for spring break, maybe next week or the week after, and that would be a good thing to focus on. Just finalizing, did I make sure I did everything I possibly could to get some free money? If you secure outside scholarships, usually they send you an email or a certificate. Send it on to our office. You can email it straight to us. Our contact information is also on that financial aid website, and we will simply stack it on top of other money you're getting. We don't reduce Ashland money because of outside scholarships unless you get so much that you would get a refund check basically from free money, but that happens very rarely, so just get as much as you possibly can. Speaking of the timeline, April and May, continue to search for outside scholarships like we talked about. Familiarize yourself with your financial aid award letter on WebAdvisor. You should all have access to that by now. Incoming students are the only ones who get paper financial aid award letters from our office. Your subsequent years, we only post it on WebAdvisor. It is there now for you to look at as an incoming student, but it's a good idea to look at WebAdvisor because that's where you'll do other things once you're an Ashland student too. You'll see your class registration and things like that. So that's April and May, what you should be thinking about, and also how am I going to pay for the rest of this? You're going to think about what do we have saved up that we can commit? Do you have a 529 plan you want to use? Are we going to take loans? What combination of all of this are we going to do to make the payment? But in June is when you really want to secure your loans if you need to take them, or a payment plan. For your loan steps, also on the financial aid webpage that I gave you, once you scroll down, you'll see a link about completing required loan processes. And that page on our site has links for your federal student loans, your subsidized and unsubsidized one, the Parent Plus loan if your parent wishes to borrow a plus loan for your education, or links for private education loans. Freshmen can only get no more than $5,500 in federal student loans in their name. So if you need more loan money to pay the way, your options are either a private education loan with a bank or the Parent Plus loan. All the steps to secure those types of loans are online, even the bank private loans. We do have a lender list you'll find on our website. It's got a rotating random list of about 13 different lenders, I believe. We don't care if you use somebody on that website. You don't have to. You're more than welcome to. It's just a starting point for families to make sure they're not overwhelmed and accidentally go to a bogus website and end up applying for a loan with not a reputable lender. So that would be in June. I also mentioned payment plans. The payment plan isn't really an item of financial aid, so our office doesn't handle it, but we know about it, and we're the first ones to really tell you about it on paper. The payment plan is through the billing office. Student Accounts handles that here. And the payment plan is something you sign up for. It's not a loan. It's just what it sounds like, a payment plan. You can either choose to pay your fall semester bill in a 3, 4, or 5 monthly payment. You sign up with our third-party provider, CashNet. You pay them, they pay us. There's no monthly interest on it. There's a small fee to enroll. I believe it's less than $100. But it's a nice thing to use if you have some money saved up, you know that you're going to pay your own. Why not keep your money for a little longer and just make small monthly payments on it? But if you think that that's for you, you sign up starting in June. You can sign up in July and August, but the longer you wait, the fewer month option you have to take advantage of. And then in July, the bill comes for fall semester. That comes from Student Accounts. It will have all your charges listed there. I always like to warn my families, though, it's going to be more than you were expecting because not all your financial aid will be credited on your bill yet. So anything federal or anything loan-wise will not apply to your bill until 10 days before class starts, which isn't till the end of August. So the printed bill that goes out in July won't show those credits yet. But as long as you've done all your loan steps and a payment plan, and if we've asked for any tax return or follow-up paperwork, if you've done all that beforehand, like in June, the bill in July is really just a formality at that point. You'll have it all taken care of. And then in August, the Res Life folks start going through the bill information with the billing office, and everybody whose bill has been taken care of either through outside payments, a payment plan, or loans or scholarships, they are cleared to move in, and you'll get an email accordingly. And then you move in, or if you're commuting, you start at the end of August. That in a nutshell is what you should do for us from here on out. Do we have any other questions? Or Kylie, is there anything you think I should add?
I do have a question. Ooh.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. I have a question from a family here. So they're wondering, how do you find out about work study and the options that there are?
Oh yes, thank you for asking about work study. If you are eligible for work study, federal work study, it is a form of financial aid, so we do put it on your financial aid award letter. It would be down at the bottom. If you pull that financial aid award letter out, though, you'll notice that we didn't reduce that amount that's listed in work study from the bill because it doesn't go straight to your bill. That's an opportunity for a student who's demonstrated need on the FAFSA and we figure out that you qualify for work study. That's for you to be hired as a work study student on campus, and then you find a job and then you get paid every other week just like a regular job. It's more for spending money for books if you want to work in fall and save some money to apply towards spring. You can do that too, but it doesn't usually go to the bill. In some rare instances, you can sign a contract with the student accounts office. If you're close to having your bill met and you've secured a job on campus, they will sign a contract with you to take a portion of your paycheck to pay towards your bill to help you out that way. But as far as finding a job, you as new students will get access to the Career Services website called Career Connect. It's basically a classifieds posting, only it's online instead of in a newspaper. So all of us supervisors of students on campus post our job openings on Career Connect. Students search for jobs, and you can do that. Goodness, I think I have a couple of folks who've got postings already out there for next fall, but really check frequently throughout the summer. As more offices add job openings online, you'll be able to search for what's available. A lot of supervisors even have it so that you can apply for the jobs right there online and secure a position so that you already know where you're going to work on campus if you need to work or want to work before you even get here. So when school starts, you can start right up and work. A note for any students out there watching who don't have federal work study on their financial aid award letter, you can still search for a job on campus. You just aren't paid through the federal work study system. Career Connect's website, once you get in there, you'll see that you can filter a lot of different ways. You can filter by major or area of interest, or just simply look at all the jobs on campus. But if you don't have federal work study on your financial aid award letter, you're going to want to filter down and search for regular student employment positions only, because some of our offices can only hire federal work study students, such as our office. We hire about 5 students, but we can only hire federal work study students. Not so with other campus departments. So you just want to check. Don't rule yourself out if you don't have federal work study and still want to work.
Yeah, of course. And to go off of that, Jamie, our office, the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, is one of the leading employers of student workers. But nobody knows whether you are a work study student or a student employment student. Nonetheless, you pick up a paycheck at the end of every 2 weeks and you spend it accordingly. Nobody knows what account you're being paid from. But we can talk about Career Connect in a minute. I do have a couple more questions coming for you, Jamie, if that's all right.
Yep.
Perfect. So I have a student here who would like to know when you start paying back your loans.
Sure. So federal loans for the student, the subsidized and unsubsidized loan, are deferred while you're in school. That means you do not have to pay on them while you're in school. You get a 6-month grace period when you graduate or drop below half-time. Summer breaks are not included here. But you get a 6-month grace period and then you go into repayment. So the usual standard repayment with your federal loans is 10 years, 120 payments. There are different types of repayment plans, though, if you ever get in a bind or you want to, I don't know, say you take time off and you do missions for a couple of years and don't have much income. You can always work with your loan servicer on different repayment structures, but the standard one, the most expensive to you that will be expected, is going to be a 10-year repayment. If you have unsubsidized loans listed on your award letter, which everybody would, that is accruing interest while you're in school. So one of the things that you're going to do to secure those loans is called entrance counseling. The other is a master promissory note. You need to do those as a brand new borrower. But you're going to learn about how interest works with these loans, and it's a really good idea if you can commit any money, maybe some of your campus employment paycheck, to pay down interest on those unsubsidized loans as you go. A freshman can get no more than $3,500 in a subsidized loan, which is interest-free, and then the other $2,000 would be unsubsidized. So interest on that $2,000 loan is not that much if you pay $25 a month or something like that, or even quarterly interest on your own. But it's a lot when you get several years worth of unsubsidized loans and then interest accrues on those. It's capitalized, and then you go into repayment after 4.5 years. So it can add up quickly. So if you have any discretionary income at all, it's a good idea to pay down those interest-bearing loans while you can. Same for private education loans. If you need to go with a private lender, they're accruing interest as well. Some of them may make you, depending on how much you borrow, pay quarterly interest when you sign up. That's just the best thing to do for you. Some of them force you into that, a small amount. It's usually very manageable to families. Private education loans are generally due when you graduate too, and you usually get a 10-year repayment plan for those. The federal Parent Plus loan, excuse me, if mom or dad wishes to borrow that for you, that's a loan in mom or dad's name only. The student is not obligated to pay the Parent Plus loan back. You can. The U.S. Department of Education doesn't care who pays them, just as long as somebody's paying them. But it's really mom or dad's debt obligation. And you will go into repayment on that Parent Plus loan after it's fully dispersed, meaning you're going to apply for loans for the whole year. You've gotten a financial aid award letter that tells you how much is left that you need to pay. So if you need to pay $10,000 for the year, apply for a $10,000 loan up front. $5,000 will come in fall, $5,000 will come in spring. After spring's $5,000 gets here, you're going to go into repayment on that Parent Plus loan. It's fully dispersed for the year, it's done, the money's here. You don't pay interest on it until it gets here, so there's no harm in applying in June and getting it settled. And Parent Plus loans generally have a 10-year repayment plan as well. They are not automatically deferred while your student's in school, but if you run into a hardship and need to get a forbearance or a deferment, you can apply for one to have the payments on hold or lessened while your student's in school instead of paying full payments. But just remember the beauty of compounding interest on those, and they're usually borrowed at a larger amount than the student's loans are. So that should only be a temporary thing. It's a good idea to pay those while the student's in school.
Perfect. So Jamie, I have a couple questions,
Sure.
about 5 that just came in. And as a quick side note to you guys as students, it's completely okay if some of what we're saying is a little bit confusing and you need us to clarify some more. Cool. Just pop that in the chat. Can you clarify X, Y, Z? And we'd be happy to do that for you while we're here. So Jamie, I know you touched on this, but can you just one more time say what the difference between subsidized federal and unsubsidized federal are?
Yes. Subsidized, if you can think of it as being subsidized by the government, they are paying your interest on it or not charging it while you're in school. It's interest-free while you're in school. It's the best one to have if you need a loan because it doesn't cost you anything while you're in school. The unsubsidized loan is accruing interest while you're in school. Neither need paid back while you're in school. You get that deferment, but the unsubsidized is accruing interest. They both have the same interest rate. We don't know yet until Congress establishes it in the middle of summer every year what the interest rate will be. The current, looking at all my charts here, The current 2019-20 year students, their interest rate on those is 4.529%. That is down a little from the year before. So I would have to imagine with what's going on in the global economy and the US one, the interest rates are not going to go up. At the very least, I would imagine they will be exactly what they are now, or maybe even a little less. Those loans are only in the student's name. Mom or dad or anybody doesn't have to co-sign for them. You simply receive them because you are a US citizen, you filed the FAFSA, and you're going to an eligible college. You don't have to take them. That's another note. When we get a FAFSA, we give a family or a student everything they qualify for. Some students don't need or want to take the loans. You simply need to email us like your financial aid award letter says to do if you don't want them at all. You can also choose a lesser amount. So say you really like that subsidized one because it's interest-free but don't want to take the unsubsidized or don't need to. We can do that. You just need to email us, or else we're going to process the loan as it's listed on your financial aid award letter.
Perfect. And just as a recap, can you tell us what the biggest difference between private alternative loans, federal loans, and Parent Plus loans are?
Yes. I always like to think of it as the main differences are who the borrower is and who the lender is. For the federal direct subsidized and unsubsidized loan, the student is the borrower. You're the only one who has to pay it back. And the lender is the U.S. Department of Education. It's a federal loan. The Parent Plus loan is also, the lender is the U.S. Department of Education, but the borrower is the parent, just like it says in the name. It's the Parent Plus loan. And then the private education loan, 9 times out of 10, it used to be 100% of the time, they were only for the student as the borrower when the student needed more money, and the lender is a bank like XYZ Bank down the street. Sally Mae is a big lender. I'm sure you've all heard that. I'm sure you're getting spammed in your mailbox by them right about now. PNC, Huntington, Citizens Bank, those are all popular names of private lenders. I say 9 times out of 10 because in the last couple of years, a few select lenders have started doing private education loans for, they call it parents, but really anybody can borrow one for you if they want, like grandparents, aunts or uncles if they wish to help you out. Some lenders do have private loans for non-biological parents. The Parent Plus loan through the government is only able to be used by biological parent or qualifying step parent. Grandma can't take a Parent Plus loan out for you.
All right, thank you. When should I or the student be applying for loans, and how often do I do that?
Yes, so usually June, if you can do it. The unsubsidized and subsidized loan steps will take you a matter of, I don't know, 5 minutes to do the master promissory note online, and maybe 20 minutes if you're reading very carefully to do the entrance, which you should read very carefully to do the entrance counseling online. It's all online. You sign in with your federal student aid username, the one you did your FAFSA with, and password, and you can take care of it right there. And you know what you're going to get. It's listed on your award letter. We say June to do these because the private loan, the private loan with a bank, if you need one, those take a little more time sometimes. Oftentimes they want to see a pay stub. They're doing a bigger credit check, just like if you're applying for a loan for a car. They want to make sure of your income. They look at your credit worthiness a little bit more stringently than the Parent Plus loan does. So sometimes they take a little bit more, especially if you need a cosigner. Sometimes your cosigner is grandma or grandpa, and it takes a little bit to help them get their documents uploaded to the lender's website so they can make a credit decision for you. That's why we say do your loan steps in June. It gives you a good solid month before that bill in July. And you want to have it all done before the bill comes. You just want that bill to be a formality. What was the other part of that question? Time frame for June? Oh, and how often do you have to do it? Okay, so you only worry about financial aid 1 year at a time. The bill comes one semester at a time, but you finalize your loans for the year based on that financial aid award letter, which we gave you, which is a really good estimate of exactly how much it's going to cost. Some other things to think about that aren't on that award letter, although we mention it in the fine print, is, if you need to borrow money for books, don't forget to ask for that. You could have extra classes with different class fees that we don't know about on the financial aid award letter, but will show up after you register and are on the bill. So build in a little buffer. If you are trying to borrow exactly everything you need, you're going to want to borrow a little bit extra, but you do it just for the year. So if your award letter again says after everything else, your remaining cost to family is still $10,000, apply for that loan for that amount for the whole year and then be done with it. Every October 1st, the next year's FAFSA comes out. We'll start to do the next year's financial aid award letter in spring semester of your freshman year. And then the next June again, a year from now, you'll be doing a loan for that year's costs. It should be very similar because of the price freeze, the tuition freeze. The only thing you would have to worry about are extra expenses that you experience if your books are really expensive, or your materials, or changes in room and board, which they do sometimes change, but not hugely every year. So it's 1 year at a time.
All right. And I believe, unless a few more questions come through while you're answering this last one, what happens if I was flagged for verification on my FAFSA?
Yes, perfect. They say about 30% of students are chosen by the federal government for a process called verification of your FAFSA. We know that it tends to be higher needs students who might get a Pell Grant or maybe additional federal money that they want that verification done for. And that's basically them saying, we want the school to collect some information to verify that the FAFSA was done properly. So if that was you, if you filed your FAFSA a while ago, you might have already gotten 1 or 2 emails and mailings from our office where we have sent you a verification worksheet. It's a 2-sided piece of paper. You fill out who's in your household, which should match what your FAFSA said, and some other information about your income. And we need your tax returns back to us if you did not do the data retrieval in your FAFSA. And then we check basically to we verify that you did it properly. We have to do that before your federal financial aid can be released. So if you were chosen for verification and haven't done it yet, and if you have a federal Pell Grant or a subsidized loan or a supplemental opportunity grant, those things will not pay out until you do verification. And unfortunately, sometimes we do find errors on the FAFSA that we catch in this verification process. And then when we fix it, your Pell Grant might change. So you want to know about that right now, so there's no surprise. So you want to send that back just as soon as you possibly can. If you have any questions about that process, the email address to contact us is on the verification worksheet, financialaid@ashland.edu. Just ask us and we'll help you through it. And remember, it's 2018 tax information. So if you're concerned at all about your 19 taxes, if you're like me and haven't done them yet and are excited that you get till July now, we're not asking for 19 tax returns. We're asking for 18. So you should be able to, unless you got a large extension approved by the IRS, you should be able to complete that.
Awesome, thank you. Another question just came in, Jamie. It says that, are the interest rates the same for Parent Plus loans as they are for subsidized and unsubsidized loans?
Good question, and no. The current rate for a Parent Plus loan for this year is 7.079%. I don't know what it will be again for next year, for 2021 yet, but it should be close to that. So you could take that one a few different ways. That's if you have amazing credit, you might find a better interest rate with a private lender like a bank loan. Also with a Parent Plus loan, all federal loans, the government charges their loan origination fee up front. So that means that they will deduct their fee before it gets here. The Parent Plus loan has a 4.2+% loan origination fee that they'll deduct before it gets here. That means if you borrow a $10,000 loan, they're going to take $423 out of it before it gets here. So again, for those plus loans, if you're trying to borrow just enough to cover the bill, you need to beef it up a little bit. And our website tells that, and the government's website, when you're doing these loan processes, tells you that. But you need to increase it to account for that loan fee that they're going to take before it gets here, or else you're going to be short. But the interest rate is a little bit higher. If you have maybe not so great interest, that might be a really good interest rate for you. A bank might charge you way more. The only way to know, though, is to apply. Those private lenders don't tell us anything about your interest rate or your status within their application process. So the only way to know what you could get with a private education loan is to simply apply online, and they disclose that to you. If you get conditionally approved for it and don't like their conditions, just refuse that loan with them and try for the Parent Plus loan, or vice versa.
Perfect. Kyle, did you receive any other questions?
I have not.
And I believe that is the last that I had received as well. Thank you, Jamie, so much for being here.